Hey guys, we have a full moon in Scorpio to talk about that is also a lunar eclipse. For the past year and a half, we have been dealing with the Taurus-Scorpio axis in the context of our eclipse seasons. The eclipse seasons every year are brought to us by the nodes of the moon, the north node and the south node, and whenever we have a new moon or a full moon that is occurring within a close proximity degree range, or even, pretty much the same sign that is hosting the current position of the north and the south nodes of the moon, which are always in a polar opposition to each other, then that is the season, that is the time of year that brings us our eclipse cycles. This past year and a half, we have had our eclipses happening in the Taurus Scorpio axis because the north node has been in the sign of Taurus, the south node has been in the sign of Scorpio. It takes the nodes about a year and a half to transit the signs, and they move backwards. They're the only celestial bodies that actually move backwards through the zodiac, and the north node and the south node currently are right in the very beginning, heading towards the very beginning degrees of the signs of Taurus and Scorpio. They're currently at 5 degrees of Taurus and Scorpio, which means that over this next couple of weeks, they will be leaving the Taurus-Scorpio axis, entering the Aries-Libra axis. This in and of itself is going to bring a pretty significant energetic shift in terms of the lessons that we are learning and sort of where our energy is being kind of like pulled in a way that may feel a bit out of our control at times. That's what the North Node does, Rahu, the head of the dragon. This is energy that is pulling us forward in a way that may seem a bit out of our control at times, but it's because that really is representing the next evolutionary phase, evolutionary course, what we need to grow into, whether or not it's a process that is comfortable for us or in our own personal control. The South Node, K2, the tail of the dragon, this represents karma. This represents what we've done, what we've become, what we've learned, what we're very comfortable with, what we're very experienced in, and also what is holding us back and what is hindering our ability to move forward in this new direction along this path of evolution that is represented by the North Node. That is why eclipses are always known as kind of having a vibe or an air of like fate or destiny, fated events happening alongside eclipses, because we're dealing with the nodes of the moon, which represent destiny and karma. So whenever we are dealing specifically in eclipse season, it is happening because of the new moons and the full moons happening within a proximity to the nodes of the moon and the same sign of the nodes of the moon. Of course, the nodes of the moon, destiny and karma. So when we have these alignments happening, it is marking a period of time that is more unfolding in alignment with that divine timing, with that divine alignment generally, and carrying us through about a 6-month period of time, because the North Node and the South Node falling into any axis of signs, any polarity of signs, 6 months from one to the other. So during Taurus season and during Scorpio season, over this past year and a half, that is when we have had our eclipse seasons. Now, this is the last one that's going to be happening in the signs of Taurus and Scorpio, because like I said, the nodes are approaching the beginning of the sign and will soon enter Aries and Libra. So we're going to be working with the Aries and Libra polarity going forward over this next year and a half following this eclipse. So the reason why I'm saying all of that, this really is representing the ending of the karmic detox that has been in place over the past year and a half. Why am I saying karmic detox? Because we're talking about the North Node in the sign of Taurus, the South Node in the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is a very intense and powerful and deeply psychic sign, and it has a lot to do when we're talking about the South Node there, with us coming to a point where we are recognizing where we have essentially been like working against ourselves through surrendering power to things that are not maybe good for us, or that are not valuing us, or that are not helping us grow in one way or another as a result of not recognizing value or power or worth within us. We're talking about the axis of Taurus and Scorpio. Taurus is value, Taurus is potential, Taurus is being able to take internalized resources and cultivate them to grow something that is stable, practical, tangible, abundant, comforting, beautiful in the physical, tangible world. Taurus is all about the recognition of potential and how we create value from that. Scorpio, this is our subconscious programming. This is like the deep recesses of our mind. This is our deep like psychic enmeshments and ingrainments and attachments with other people and stuff like that. Like this is, again, like ruled by Pluto, ruled by Mars. It has a lot to do with power and energy and the power and interplay and energy that goes on within relationships and within enmeshments, and it has a lot to do also with finances. But ultimately, and especially in the context of the South Node, it is what we have been attaching ourselves to that has been toxic to us or poisonous to us in one way or another, that has been somehow stealing our power or siphoning our ability to see our own value. It is also related to attachments of the past and subconscious programming and generational cycles and karma. We're talking about the South Node here. The South Node is associated with karma, and the South Node in Scorpio is karmic attachments from the past that have been stealing our power and preventing our growth. So with that in consideration, this past year and a half, and maybe if you look back at your experiences, you may have been like working to shift a pattern or to release yourself from something, to overcome an addiction or to overcome a mindset or just a way of behaving or relating to others, or even like lack, like our own internal perception of our own worth, our own value, and any type of lack or victim states or mindsets or anything like that. Really working to sort of overcome, grow out of, and release ourselves from. This is a process that has been playing out very subconsciously over this past year and a half. And here we are coming to the end of this eclipse cycle, this nodal axis that has been activating our eclipse seasons. And we have energy that is indicating, of course, some very significant, like fated endings, fated culminations, karmic release, however you want to put it. This karmic detox, I feel like, is about pretty much complete, and it is representing this eclipse, the way that it's coming together, this full moon, even on a numerological level, and especially in terms of the symbology as well, some dynamic change, and definitely the end, transition, moving us towards some type of like personally profound and empowered rebirth. That is where the energy is gearing, and I do feel like this full moon is going to represent the breakdown, the collapse, the crumbling of some things in a lot of ways that have been very intricate in terms of like the constructs of the previous realities that we were operating within. So I feel like I've been saying, this 2023 year, this is a very transitional year. I feel like we're going to see a lot of breakdown and sort of like the external 3D matrix that has been supporting our reality up until this point in time. And we are on the verge of really going through some significant shifts in the way that our reality is manifesting itself generally. And I feel like, honestly, like moving through this full moon cycle, we're probably going to really start to see some of that, and especially moving into this last 2 weeks of the month of May. If you guys missed my video for the month of May astrology, you really might want to check that out, because we've got some just like very big and intense and transitional, transformative energy that is coming at us over this next several weeks. But we need to talk about this full moon itself and the way that this chart is presenting today. Honestly, we're going to talk about the transits. We're going to talk about what is present in terms of the planetary placements and the aspects for the full moon. But even a bit more significant to me, honestly, like the numerology of this chart, the symbolism that's associated with this chart, how it's coming together, like it's really telling the whole story. We don't even need to look at the chart. We don't even need to analyze the transits to know. Just simply based on the numerology, the degree placements, and the fact that this is the last eclipse set in Taurus and Scorpio, that is this cycle of karmic detox, this year and a half cycle of karmic detox. Like I said, even without looking at the chart, which is significant in and of itself, I'm telling you guys, like, this is kind of like an ultimate ending. Like, this is going to be significant, and I would be surprised even on the macrocosm if there isn't some type of like big event or something, especially along like finances or economies or things to do with like value or wealth or money, something like that, that really like makes a big impact and starts a process leading to some pretty significant change folding out over the this next couple of weeks, or even, you know, this year or this next couple of years. It's hard to call, but we'll see how it goes. Anyways, the numerology and the symbolism are crazy, so let's just go ahead and spend some time talking about that. I also want to say, you know, in terms of the transits, and we are going to get into this, the full moon is happening in a conjunction and an opposition to Uranus, the great rectifier, the galactic fixer, brings blessings in disguise, the silver lining planet, expect the unexpected, shocks and surprises, for the purpose of righting things, though. Uranus puts things right. So that being said as well, and Uranus also rules drastic dynamic, like unexpected change that moves things forward in alignment with like authentic growth in some way or another, or potential. So that's another dimension of energetically how this is playing out, and we will talk more about all the, like I said, all the associated transits as we get through this report, but I wanted to mention that one because it is really like electrifying or highlighting the numerology that we're about to talk about. So, okay, I find it very interesting. As I've said, as I've talked about in a bit of detail by this point, this is our last eclipse cycle that is happening on this axis. We are going to be shifting, okay? We're going to be going through some new karmic lessons over this next year and a half, and this is the last one that is happening on this karmic detox, growth, and needing to detach ourselves from anything stealing our power axis. It is happening on the 5th of May, 2023. If you look at that number, that date, from a numerological perspective, we get 5-5-23. When we combine the 2 and the 3, obviously that gives us a 5. 5-5-5. Anybody who knows anything about numerology or who studies angel numbers, or who, you know, if you know anything about the vibration and frequencies of numbers, then we know that 5 is a number associated with change, and we know the number 555 is a number associated with dynamic change for the purpose of some type of growth or evolution. And I just got done saying also that this is happening in a conjunction in opposition to Uranus, which is also the planet associated with dynamic change. This full moon reminds me of like a tower moment, okay? That's in terms of the vibration of the numerology as it's coming through, also in terms of the symbolism that we'll get to, also in terms of the conjunction opposition to Uranus. I feel like there may be some tower moments that are accompanying this period of time. But again, we've got to remember, it's because this is coming through and wiping out and taking down anything that is blocking growth, blocking our authentic growth. This is the universe making the changes that we still have not been able to make for ourselves over this past year and a half, that have been keeping us in a sense of like staticness or suspended animation or stagnancy, or have been holding us back from recognizing the truth of our potential, as at this point in time we are transitioning into the age of Aquarius. And in order for that to happen, we need to start like getting it together, getting in alignment with those frequencies which are associated with self-knowledge, self-growth, self-mastery, authenticity, like getting in alignment with our purpose, activating destiny, self-actualization. If we are avoiding that, if we are denying that, if we are scared to go through that, if there is, you know, if we are not moving forward in a way that is like cultivating our true value and our authentic potential in kind of like an unrestricted and unbridled way right now, things may be coming through, towers may be coming down, wrecking balls may be smashing foundations and stuff like that in this energy, to get us to release what had been creating that stagnancy, what we had been surrendering our power to, what had been causing the void in our ability to see our value, or see our worth, so that we can move forward and start doing what universe wants us to do right now, which is discovering our purpose and moving through life in alignment with that, so that we can go through this phase of soul growth, which we are in a transition of ages right now, and that is an accelerated evolution, an accelerated conscious evolution of, you know, of life. Okay, universe always wants to expand, universe is constantly expanding, and this is just where we're at in this cosmic blueprint. And one of the main reasons why, you know, I wanted to start this channel is because things are happening a lot faster now that we are at this point in this cosmic blueprint that is really transitioning us into the age of Aquarius. And yes, like, it's not something that just happens over the course of like 1 year, one moment in time. This is a multi-100-year process, but it's really picking up speed right now, you guys. And we know because of the way that the electric universe is demonstrating itself around us right now by way of these frequency activations and the impact that they're having on everything as it's playing out, and the transitions that it's causing as a result. So this is an important activation in breaking down and breaking us through in ways perhaps that maybe we had been personally unable to accomplish for ourselves up until this point in time. 555, dynamic change. It's also interesting because this full moon is happening at exactly 14 degrees, 58 minutes of the signs Taurus and Scorpio, when the sun and the moon come into the exact opposition with each other. According to the Sabian symbol placement, we always round up a degree. Of course, I'm reading the Sabian symbols on this channel, which are a group of symbols that are associated with each and every one of the 360 degrees of the zodiac. And I like to consult the Sabian symbols whenever we have aspects, transits, like big charts and big moments playing out, because I just feel like they give us an additional layer of symbolic clarity in terms of what is going on, what is really going on, and maybe just provide some additional information to help us understand what this activation is doing in the context of this unfolding cosmic blueprint that we are so immersed in at every moment and that we are so analytical of in this moment on this channel. So 15 degrees, this is what I will be looking at, the Sabian symbols that I will be reading in a minute as we're talking about this energy. 555, that equals 15, right? 15 in the tarot, this is the Devil card. This is representing toxic attachments. That is exactly what we have been releasing ourselves from over the course of the past year and a half. That is exactly what this karmic detox represents. To me, that presentation alone, May 5th, 2023, 555, happening at 15 degrees, symbolic placement, the sun and the moon, both luminaries. This is our ability to finally release ourselves from anything that had been stealing our power, any toxic attachment from the past that had been blocking our growth or preventing us from seeing the truth of our worth, the truth of our value, and moving forward in a way that is aligning us with and helping us to cultivate and develop our potential and our purpose. This is like the final push, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like it's just being so represented in the context of this 555 energy. 555, of course, does equal 15. And then we've got the 15 degrees for the sun and the moon. This is both luminaries. This is both light sources. This is masculine and the feminine, divine masculine, divine feminine within us. Like, reflecting on this process of release, okay? And it's also interesting because another aspect that we have playing out alongside the full moon in the context of the South Node energy is Saturn forming a trine to the South Node. This has been going on for the past several weeks. There was a 9-day period when this was exact. This is also representing some very karmic release from some of these past emotional frameworks and subconscious and psychic frameworks and belief systems that had been blocking our ability to see the truth of our value, and therefore to cut ties, to walk away from, to release ourselves from anything that was not supportive and in alignment with that potential and with the phase of growth associated with that potential, turning potential into purpose and activating destiny, which is necessary right now. There's a reason why, you know, we're all being pushed in this direction, like I said, because that's what universe needs for us to do in order so that we can get this age of Aquarius transition underway. In the next several hundred years, you know, next 500 years, 600 years, 1,000 years out, humanity, the world is going to look tremendously different because people are going to be coming from a place of like internalized self-enlightenment and self-empowerment, okay? And it's not going to be people looking externally to validate their ability to be successful in the world. It's going to be coming from this internalized relationship with ourselves and with a higher power that helps us to actually co-create and manifest our reality. And the way that we get there is through this ripple effect that happens over these hundreds of years, but it starts, you know, with a spark and with a seed, and this is not brand new. This has been coming for a long period of time. One of my oldest, most treasured astrology books was written in 1910, and the first page of that book, the first sentence of that book, is talking about how we are on the brink of this new Aquarian age. So, you know, even 100 years ago, And in the 1920s, when there was this great spiritual revival and all of that, that was the beginning of the sprinklings of the frequencies of this new energy that are coming in. And now we're getting another just super powerful blast of it. And we're being called back into our power, back into our potential. And universe is calling us to discover what our true purpose is and to get in alignment with that and to start moving in that direction going forward. Very powerful, profound period of time right now. This is the cycle breaking energy. We are breaking generational cycles of karma, like what may have been perceived as like generational curses and stuff like that. Like, this is when we're breaking the chains. This is when we're walking away, and it's even being depicted by this 15 degrees where this is happening. 15 associated with the devil, associated with our willing toxic attachments as a result of needing an external validation or not feeling like we have what we need within us, and therefore being willing to surrender or to attach ourselves to things that are not necessarily in our best interest, or that are stealing our ciphering our power in some type of way, so that we can receive some type of external validation or a connection to an external power source that makes us feel like more secure internally. So 555, you guys, 15 degrees on the numerology, super interesting. And like I said, that alone, the fact that we have a 555 date coming in, with it being the last eclipse, lunar eclipse, having to do with the soul, having to do with our emotions in the sign of Scorpio, this deeply, again, like psychic, soul-based, emotion-based. This is catharsis also. This is like deep, heavy, profound emotions that we've been carrying, that have been burdening us, or that have been keeping us attached to a reality that just is not a true reflection of our divine purpose. That is what this is. It's a soul purge, and it's an eclipse, right? Like, it's a lunar eclipse. This is taking an emotional burden that we've been carrying that has been blocking or preventing our growth. So, there may need to be some other things that go with it, but the slate that is being cleared for us right now is leading to new opportunities. Let's talk about the symbolism coming through from the Sabian symbols, now that we've talked a bit about the numerology as it's playing out for us today, because this to me is like equally profound. We've got lots of Sabian symbols today that are telling a very specific story. And remember, this is happening in a conjunction and opposition to Uranus. So although, 555, that to me is the angel number, is the sequence of numbers, the triplicity sequence of numbers that is associated with the Uranian energy. 555, dynamic change, this eclipse, full moon itself happening in the conjunction opposition to Uranus. So we are talking about some type of sudden, maybe unexpected, electrified endings, just dynamic change, transition, one thing coming to an ending, but immediately perhaps a brand new opportunity or a clear slate or a whole open frontier that we find kind of falling into our lap as well. So it's not something that we need to be like afraid of. It's not something that we need to be like all worried about. There is likely to be a very increased level of anxiety and like nervous tension that is in the air right now. People are probably going to be acting really weird with this happening, with the Uranian involvement and with all of these fives and everything. Like, don't expect people to be behaving along the lines of like what you're used to seeing or getting from them. And, it may just be some unusual, out of the ordinary experiences that are going on at this point in time over this next couple days. You may find yourself in a place that you're not normally at, or in a situation, or, in a circumstance with other people or something like that, that is just not characteristic of your normal schedule or your normal behavior, or like what you normally got going on. But we're talking about big release. We're talking about big change. Now let's talk about the symbols. Okay, the symbolism, and this blew my mind too, you guys. The position, the symbol, 15 degrees of Scorpio, where both the earth and the moon are aligned, because the earth is always in a polar opposition to the sun whenever we're talking about astrology. But of course, when we are doing our full moon, the moon is also in an exact opposition. So the earth and the moon in a conjunction to each other. And to me, that's also why a lot of times I feel like people are acting like super crazy and just like very emotional, and energy is so high during the full moon, because the moon is literally like with exactly aligned to the earth when we're breaking down and like writing down the astrology and the transits and stuff like that. So it's like on earth, it's like the full presence of the moon. The emotional impact is just like greater. But anyways, 15 degrees of the sign of Scorpio, the Sabian symbol associated with this, which is the degree placement of this full moon, children playing around 5 mounds of sand. Like, to me, that's like kind of mind-blowing that that would be the Sabian symbol. I don't know that any other Sabian symbols in the 360 degrees, off the top of my head, to my recollection, have the specific number 5 in them. And we're talking about 555. So it's like, you know, as if the theme of 555 wasn't obvious enough in the fact that, you know, we have this Uranus conjunction opposition and we've got 555 actually presenting themselves. The position 15 degrees of, which is the 555, right? 555 is 15 of the moon itself, is specifically referencing the number 5. Children playing around 5 mounds of sand. Now, to me, this is saying that on one level, we may not even be totally aware of the significance of the changes that are taking place as they're taking place. Like, this is children playing around 5 mounds of sand. Like, they're not even necessarily aware that there's 5 mounds of sand there. They're not even necessarily like engaging with them or playing with them. They may just be like background features in the environment. And so this to me is saying that, like, on one level, a lot of these changes that are happening right now may be happening sort of like in the background, or like subconsciously, or like in a way that we aren't necessarily paying attention to, or like consciously super like engaged in, or like that we're very aware of. But nonetheless, we're talking about the freaking number 5 again. And so again, like, this to me, there's some type of big pending change going on, and we know that anyways, because I mean, 2023, this is also that 5-year, right? And we are in the month of May, which is a 5-month, and I've been saying this whole 2023 year is a year of transition, transformation, these cascading beginnings and endings that are characterizing the majority of this year. And this month of May is just like, we're really in a very, again, like, activated part of this year for these transitions, for these changes. But it's just very, you know, this chart, like the numerology and the symbolism, is just like blaring. The position of the sun, 15 degrees of Taurus, a man with a rakish silk hat, muffled against the cold, braves a storm. So dynamic fundamental change, unexpected shifts and realignments, and an energetic storm that we are perhaps brewing, that we are navigating over this period of time. Now, the good news is about this guy, he's got this hat, right? And he's muffled against it, like he's prepared. He's not caught out there alone, like just bearer to the elements. Like, he's got a way, like he's guarding himself, and he's sort of prepared for what he's facing. But nonetheless, this is talking about weathering a storm, an energetic storm brewing, purge, purification, transformation. We also have the position of Venus right now, which is significant, you guys, because we are in Taurus season. We are talking about an eclipse cycle that has had eclipse axis that is Taurus and Scorpio. We are talking about a full moon that is in Taurus and Scorpio, the sun in the sign of Taurus, the moon in the sign of Scorpio. Taurus is ruled by Venus, so Venus is an important player, an important planet right now. 28 degrees of Gemini, you guys. I kid you not. A man declared bankrupt. Or the other way that this symbol is written, through bankruptcy, society gives an overburdened individual the opportunity to begin again. Everything is tied in to this symbol, where all the themes that are represented right now, that are happening, in my opinion, over this month of May, are represented in that symbol. We're talking about a bankruptcy. We're talking about coming to the end of something, like something is just over, it's tapped out, it's not working anymore. But we're also talking about, and this is something that has been overburdening us, that has been holding us down, that has been preventing us from growing, those toxic attachments to the past, right? Society gives an overburdened individual the opportunity to begin again through bankruptcy, this ending, this death, leading to this fresh start, this new opportunity, this rebirth. Talking about bankruptcy, you guys, I feel like there are major economic, financial, currency, worth, value-based things going on. This could be representing the end of an era in terms of things that we've been committed to, things that we've been dedicated to, things that we've been putting our time, our energy, our resources, our heart into for very long periods of time that are not working anymore, that we're coming to the end of, and that in this energy, it's like the final cord cutting, like final cutting ties, leaving the past in the past. You know, it could definitely, this tower moment, like it could definitely represent, you know, some very painful endings as well, some very hard loss, difficult loss, painful endings, but it's the clean slate, it's the fresh start, it's the rebirth, and it's the process of like the cascading endings and beginnings, like death and rebirth happening simultaneously, the ends, the crumbling, the destruction, but like before the smoke can even clear, there's new sprouts that are like busting through the soil, looking for the sunshine, trying to bloom. So breakdowns, collapse, release, rebirth, fresh start, new opportunities. I couldn't even believe that when I saw that that was the Sabian symbol where Venus is right now. I do think, you guys, that like we are about to go through some pretty significant financial, economic transitions that are happening on a more macrocosm level. You know, it's been looking at like this, you know, you've been kind of been able to pick up on it vibrationally, energetically, based on, you know, the transits and everything that's been going on, and, you know, what we see unfold over this past year and a half. But, and, you know, I've been saying May, we have Uranus in the sign of Taurus. We're working towards the Sun-Uranus conjunction, like this Taurus energy. This is finances, this is economies, this is resources, this is supply chains, this is banking. You know what I mean? Like, we'll see, you guys. We also have Mars, who is also ruling the position of this eclipse and of this full moon, the sign of Scorpio, at 22 degrees of Cancer. That Sabian symbol is a young woman awaiting a sailboat. So this is another thing, you know, like we're being granted this bankruptcy, right? Like getting this whole new fresh start, having to let go, having to take some losses maybe. But getting to do something again and waiting for a sailboat, on the verge of setting off on a whole new journey, going to like experiencing a whole new version of life, perhaps, that, you know, maybe is something radically new and different to us in this 555 Uranus energy that is also representing this. Jupiter, 28 degrees of the sign of Aries, a large disappointed audience. It's so interesting also because Venus is at 28 Gemini, right? Jupiter, 28 Aries. Venus, a man declared bankrupt. Jupiter, a large disappointed audience. They are in an exact sextile together. This is positive. This is a positive aspect that is accompanying this full moon eclipse. And, you know, what we discover, what we uncover, what becomes clear to us, maybe what we realize over the course of this eclipse cycle. You know, lunar eclipses is also about exposing something to us, secrets revealed, what's been hidden, sort of getting a highlight that helps us to go through this process of change and transition and transformation. But, you know, what we're coming to understand now is likely to be of great personal value to us somehow, or our sense of personal value, personal worth being supported by whatever else is playing out with Jupiter and Venus in the exact sextile together. You know, great personal value, great personal worth is what ultimately will be an outcome that's associated with these changes that are coming. And this is a positive influence that is supporting, again, the ability for us to get in alignment with the truth of our heart and find something that really feeds our soul moving forward through the process of this change. But with Jupiter, you know, a large disappointed audience, and Venus, a man declared bankrupt, the way that this hits us initially may not be the most, it may not feel just, you know, like it's necessarily the best thing that's ever happened to us. These tower moments. Uranus brings blessings, but these blessings are usually in disguise. It's silver lining energy. We have a tendency generally of not realizing how grateful we are for whatever happened as a result of Uranus energy until we move through the future and, you know, things fall into place in a certain way. And then we can be like, oh yeah, looking back, thank God that thing happened, because even though it seemed like the worst thing ever at the time, if that hadn't happened, none of this other stuff would have happened and fallen into place in a way that enabled this whole sequence of events that ended up working out like for my best interest in such a better way. That's how Uranus works. That's what Uranus does. But the initial process, the initial shakeups and The sign of Taurus also rules our comfort, okay? The moon in the sign of Scorpio. This could be some very like upsetting our comfort levels or upsetting our comfort zone. Emotional upsets could come like this as well. But of course, we're talking about 555. Of course, we're talking about the Tower moment. Of course, we're talking about a full moon lunar eclipse in the sign of Scorpio with this south node. So again, like, perhaps some more difficult loss associated with this, but the growth that it's leading into, you guys, is going to be worth it, is going to be so valuable to us in the end. We also right now have the nodes at a very interesting place. They're in a conjunction to the Chiron point, the point in the sky where Chiron was discovered. Chiron is also having a lot to do with, I mean, it represents and rules the hero's journey. The Chiron energy, the Chiron archetype, this is how we get in touch with the true value within and discover like the true gold in our soul, in our ability to find our purpose and to cultivate our potential and to activate our destiny and to, you know, learn to live from a place of wisdom through experience and overcome states of victimhood and detach ourselves from past wounding and past trauma that has kept us attached to self-sabotaging cycles or situations, people, places, circumstances that were stealing our power. This karmic detox process, this transit of the nodes through Taurus and Scorpio, are in a lot of ways very reflective of the hero's journey itself. The hero's journey itself in a lot of ways is also very reflective of our transitional process into the age of Aquarius and this process of self-actualization, which is also about transmuting and overcoming our lower states and instincts and traumas and victimhoods and lack mindsets, and, you know, learning to release ourselves from those, go through this process of inner alchemy in order to align with our potential, to discover the truth of our value and to live in a way where we are cultivating that and ultimately co-creating consciously our experience with God and universe going forward. That is the path that we are walking. That's the yellow brick road that leads us to the age of Aquarius. And though the age of Aquarius may not be fully manifest around us right now, it's not, this is the time where we can start that journey, where we can start that process. And the early adopters, okay, the early adopters of the age of Aquarius are being activated in this energy to lead the way, to be the guiding lights for the extrapolation of this energy over time moving forward. And so the spiritual battle, right? We're talking about the number 15. We're talking about the last south node eclipse in the sign of Scorpio. This is the karmic detox. This is conquering the demons within. This is detaching ourselves from the devil's hold over us on any level. This is overcoming addictions. This is overcoming like our ego as well, our ego attachments. This is, again, like conquering our subconscious or our healing our inner wounds, anywhere that the holes inside of us or the old wounds that we've been harboring have been keeping us attached to negative feelings or negative emotions that have been interfering with our frequency and our ability to get in alignment with who we could truly become if we sort of got out of our own way and stopped focusing on the issues of the past pains, where we've been wronged, every little thing that everyone has ever done to us, and started focusing on what we could become if we were to redirect our energy and reframe our mind in a way that is like future focused and geared towards the development and the cultivation of our own potential and unlimited, unbridled possibilities. Saturn right now in the sign of Pisces and the trine to the south node, the sextile to the north node, that's also another dimension of what this energy is trying to do for us, trying to break down the barriers and the limitations that we had set for ourselves in the past in the context of what is possible for us. This is helping us to release ourselves from our own paradigm of the version of reality that we thought we could have, and to open up to unlimited possibilities if we stop worrying and focusing on maybe the things that held us back in the past and really like decide that we are going to move forward in a way that is only beneficial to our own growth and is only supportive to the cultivation of our own potential and those unlimited possibilities for us moving forward. Because it's true. It's absolutely true. We live in an energetic universe, right? Like whatever frequency we are, and you know, it's hard to, it can get really confusing when we talk about this type of stuff, but our frequency basically boils down to like our mood and what we're thinking about on average, okay? And if we spend our time, it doesn't matter like how good of a person we are, how good of a heart we have. If we spend our time sort of like thinking about and like stewing on and just like running over and over in our mind the pain that we've experienced, or the loss, or you know what people have done to us, or what we can't have, or what we can't do, or what we can't become because of what we've experienced because of somebody else, and always sort of focusing our energy on the anger that we have for other people, or where we've been betrayed, or you know what we've lost, and you know the victimhood, like all the ways that we've been hurt and harmed and suffered, and how that's contributing suffering now. Like, it doesn't matter the quality of our heart, or how good we are, or how kind we are, or what we're willing to do for others, if that is where our attention internally and subconsciously is primarily focused. Because if that is where we're focused, that is what we're vibrating to on an energetic level, and we will continue to attract more experiences that mirror and replicate that. In this energy, what our job is, what we need to do is, with the Uranus as well, we need to be able to find the silver lining. We need to be able to find the blessings in disguise in all of those situations in our life that have hurt us, that have harmed us, that have put us in states of victimhood, that have, you know, that were totally out of our control, and that maybe we suffered and maybe we suffered for a long time from as a result. No matter what we've gone through, there is something positive somehow that came from it, even if it was just a wisdom that we gained, or a strength, or a courage, or an ability to persevere, or to overcome, or to see ourselves through things, or to be independent. You know, like, we have to find the blessings in the things that have been done to victimize us, to wrong us, to harm us, because through that process, we find gratitude. If we can find the power that we gain through our pain, we also find an ability to have gratitude for that experience. By having gratitude for that experience, we can let go of any of the negative feelings that we may have also been holding within us as a result of that experience as well. That's transmutation. That's inner alchemy. Taking pain, taking victimhood, finding purpose in it, finding power in it, and realizing that because we have this purpose, because we have this power, there's no reason to have anything ultimately but gratitude for the experience, for the person that caused the experience, because it brought us to this place of personal evolution that we couldn't have gained, or we couldn't have attained otherwise. And I know that sounds really, really difficult, and I know in a lot of circumstance situation that sounds nearly impossible, but I'm telling you guys, if we don't take that upon ourselves, if we don't make it our mission to take that mental frame, to take that mindset, and to do that, then we're going to continue to attract people, situations, circumstances that mirror those same situations, until we come to that point within us where we are finally ready to embrace that mental frame and go through that process. It's going to keep happening until we come to the point where we realize that it's that or essentially nothing. And it may take, you know, lots and lots and lots of trips around this 3D reality in order to come to that point, but that's where it's ultimately leading. That is what releases our soul. That is what causes the karmic detox. That is what causes the release from these generational patterns of suffering and trauma. One person coming to the point where they can see it as something somehow ultimately beneficial, then the negative feelings turn into gratitude, the gratitude turns into love, and from that point forward, that is what we become a vessel of, that is what we attract, and the external world, the relationships, the circumstances become a reflection of what is truly in alignment with our heart, with our soul purpose, as a result of the trauma and the pain that we are holding internally, because we have still not found the way to turn into a feeling that we can deal with in a way that helps us to shift out of that energy. I didn't make the rules, you know, it sounds really backwards if you're coming from a certain perspective, but that is the process, that is the hero's journey, that is the transition to the age of Aquarius, that is self-actualization, that is the whole thing right now, that is the karmic detox, that's where we're at, that's where we're heading, that's what's necessary. We've got to we've got to go through this shift, and we're getting tremendous assistance from the universe at this point in time. Uranus is also the great awakener. It rules this great awakening age that we are in right now, which is the transition into the age of Aquarius. Everybody talks about the great awakening that is associated with coming to these realizations, coming to this conscious understanding that helps us move and bridge into that energy. So sudden epiphanies, sudden flashes of insight, and ability to suddenly shift our perspective, right? 555, drastic change. The South Node, Saturn in the trine, the 15 number, Scorpio, the last one. Like, we are detaching. This is the spiritual battle. This is conquering the demons within. This is shifting our mindset in such a way that empowers us to no longer need to rely on or need to be attached to or need to be connected to or need to entertain the things from the past that in any way kept us in a state that was out of alignment with our authentic truth and with our internalized sense of self-empowerment. We're remembering who we are, and it's Mercury, 9 degrees of Taurus, a Christmas tree decorated. Like, it is bringing gifts, you guys. Uranus, blessings in disguise. It is bringing gifts and blessings in probably disguise in the form of these tower moments that might be happening right now, silver linings leading to new opportunities, bankruptcy, right? Through bankruptcy, society gives an overburdened individual the opportunity to begin again. We're also talking again about Saturn and trying to the South Node. Saturn rules our burdens. Something is being released, you guys. We're dropping something off, and it is for the opportunity to start something totally new that is in a greater authentic alignment to us, that can help us in our personal transition into the age of Aquarius, hero's journey, self-actualization, all of this. This is the time again when universe is making the changes that we haven't been able to make for ourselves. You guys, the position, the Sabian symbol where Uranus is for our full moon, 19 degrees of the sign of Taurus, that Sabian symbol is a new continent is rising out of the ocean. We are coming out of the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. Uranus ruling the age of Aquarius at this degree in the context of all of this other stuff. I really feel like that is saying it all. This new birth of this new reality rising out of our previous emotional depths that are being released, purged, purified, and cleared at this point in time. We also have the North Node itself, a widow at an open grave. Same idea, same concept. The other version of that Sabian symbol is a youthful widow, fresh and soul cleansed from grief, kneels at an open grave, ready to receive the secrets of eternal life. Like, a lot of the same themes and concepts as the bankruptcy degree where Venus is. The South Node, of course, Venus ruling the position of the South Node, or the North Node. The South Node in the sign of Scorpio, a massive rocky shore resists the pounding of the sea. Again, these turbulent emotions, maybe something that are really pounding against us, that we're really dealing with, but we're not going to cave, we're not going to give in. Actually, what we're doing is we're releasing, and we are going through this process of purification, cleansing on these very deep and soul levels. This, again, like this cathartic energy that is leading to this profound soul, psychic, subconscious transformation, realigning us with a trajectory of authentic growth going forward. Extreme accelerated growth, you guys. Fated endings, karmic release, removing blockages to growth and value could be happening in extreme and sudden, unexpected ways out of nowhere that just sort of have our whole life like lit up and electrified. Or again, children playing around 5 mounds of sand could be happening in the background, something that we're not even necessarily aware of. Is sort of like in the peripherals, or just like on the edge of our awareness, but nonetheless are a very real and tangible part of our experience that we will come to see played a significant role at some point moving forward. This is burning it all down energy, you guys. Like I've said, this is the tower collapsing. We're washing it all away. The new continent is rising from the ocean, and we're getting this fresh start, new opportunities to begin again, rebirth, and a whole new world. Don't forget, the man with the rakish silk hat muffled against the cold, he is braving a storm. And Jupiter, we do have a large disappointed audience. So what we see, again, may not on its surface appear to be something that is like positive for us. However, I'm telling you guys, whatever's going on right now, whatever transformation, whatever's coming down, it's for the purpose of restoring true, authentic value so that growth can happen in the most productive, beneficial way that is in alignment with authentic, real potential at this point in time. True value, true worth, true potential. This is the galactic universal push, and anything standing in the way of that is likely to be hit with the lightning bolt of Uranus. Just to sort of wrap this up, as I said, this full moon is happening at 15 degrees, Taurus and Scorpio. Uranus is currently at 18 degrees of Taurus, so that's a 3-degree orb conjunction opposition. We also have Mercury at 9 degrees of Taurus, so Mercury is kind of in this game as well. Again, like people acting really, really weird, maybe like some bizarre information, news, headlines, financial. I just feel like there are like big financial changes coming. Venus is also in a square to Neptune. Don't make deals, don't sign contracts. We have Mercury retrograde. We've got an eclipse going on that's also a full moon. I wouldn't have surgeries or anything like that. And Venus is in a square to Neptune. Don't believe really anything that anybody is really saying or selling, you guys. This is just a lack of realism and perhaps straightforwardness in terms of like just generally like how people are acting and relating to others. Not a good time to sign a contract, not a good time to make a deal, not a good time to get in a relationship commitment, likely to just, this is released, you guys. This is about ultimate endings. Like this is not where we personally want to engage in a new beginning unless universe is like dropping it on our lap in such a way that like it's unavoidable. But even so, even if that's the case, there's probably a very karmic nature to even the things that are specifically beginning in this energy. I personally would not advocate for that though. As we move through this next couple weeks, we're definitely, I mean, we are in the times of new beginnings, don't get me wrong, but just right at this specific period of time, if you can, wait to start that relationship, wait to commit, just wait to maybe like see how things fall into place over this next few days. We do also have Mars in a loose trine to both Neptune and this full moon. Neptune in the sign of Pisces, and of course the full moon happening in the sign of Scorpio. Mars is in the sign of Cancer. This is not exact, but this is also adding like fuel to things. We could see some very powerful, strong, like lightning storms, water storms, rainstorms, storms generally. I mean, even the position of the sun specifically talking about a storm. We have some very active, violent weather, water, storms, issues, lightning also, stuff like that over this period of time. So yeah, that's what I have to say. 555 at 15 degrees. Children playing around 5 mounds of sand. Taking it back to the beginning, that's really all we needed to know, because the 555, that number is very powerful and represents dynamic, drastic change. Uranus also 15. This is the releasing ourselves from toxic attachments, also represented by the full moon. So I'm going to stop talking now. I feel like I've been like kind of reiterating the same things over and over, but it's just all these themes constantly repeating. Everything is a repetition of the same themes over and over. Numerology, symbolism, astrology, aspects, all of it. So it's pretty clear, you guys, that's what we're looking at. Let's grab a synchronicity card now. Let's get some guidance. God, Spirit, Universe, what is it going to benefit us to keep in mind over this period of time? We have 2 cards coming up. They say dream and seek inner strength. So I feel like both of these are probably very relevant. Again, like I was saying, you know, we need to shift our perspective and start believing that anything is truly possible for us. It says, let's read seek inner strength first. Seek inner strength. Give me this water that I thirst not. John 4:15. You are thirsting for values in your life. Wow. That's like literally like value, worth, values. We're also in a season of shifting and changing priorities and values right now, also with Venus and Mercury in mutual reception and Mercury retrograde. You are thirsting for values in your life. You are not using the wisdom and guidance of your subconscious when you don't think right, feel right, and act right. The mass mind impinges on your mind, and the result is confusion and failure. All wisdom, knowledge, and power is within your mind. You know the difference. You know the values you need to uphold. Turn away from the mass mind, and go within to what you know is right. I feel like this is summing things up perfectly for us right now. Like I said, like this is the detachment from the matrix of the past and following the truth of our heart in alignment with our higher selves and knowing what is right for ourselves. Our true value, our true worth, recognizing that on a soul level and allowing that to be our guide in alignment with God's spirit universe and no longer seeking to conform, right, to the mass mind or to the external in a way that siphons off our energy and simultaneously stifles our growth. And then we also have dream. And shout for joy, all ye who are upright in heart. Your biggest joy will be in the knowledge that you have overcome setbacks and disappointments. Be persistent, believe in your dreams, continue going forward. God does not give us a dream without also giving us the means to attain that dream. Exactly, you guys. This is the point in time for us to detach us from everything that was limiting our potential, that was holding us back, that was keeping us in a lower version of ourselves, that was causing us to act and behave in ways that is not a reflection of the truth of our heart, that was keeping us attached to a vibration within us that is not in alignment with the divine vision and image of who we can be if we are able to transcend and transmute and release these lower vibrational situations, feelings, relationships, circumstances that we've been attached to in pursuit of our dreams and unlimited possibilities going forward, this fresh start. So that's what I have to say today, you guys. That's how I feel like this full moon is coming together. Another thing that I didn't say, we also have Pluto retrograde right now. I honestly am going to blame it on Mercury retrograde. I didn't even see or realize that Pluto stationed retrograde on May 1st as well. That's also really playing into all of this energy that's going on. Pluto, whenever a planet stations in the sky, it amplifies the energy of that planet. Pluto at 0 degrees. This is also representing 0 degrees of Aquarius. This is also representing a powerful transformation in alignment with the Aquarian frequencies, vibrations coming through right now. So just another place where the same vibes are pushing towards the same things. That's what I have to say. That's what I feel like is going on with this report, and that is our guidance alongside of it. If you guys liked this video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys, share it with your friends if you feel like they would find value in this type of information as well. Leave me comments. I love your comments. I'm so thankful for all of you. Thank you guys so much for being here. Genuinely appreciate your feedback. I really love knowing how this energy is affecting you if you're having experiences that are reflective of whatever I'm talking about in correspondence to the energy. So let me know, you guys. Comment section below. Thank you guys so much. I love you. I have a Facebook page, a Facebook group, a website, some other Instagram, some other social medias in my description box below if you are interested in any of that type of thing. And also come back with me next week, you guys. I'm not sure if I will. I'll probably have a video out for Monday. Let's see. Either Monday or Tuesday, I'll put a video out for next week. Next week, this is going to be our week that we have the sun coming in the conjunction with Uranus. So another big, exciting week. Expect the unexpected. Things are probably going to be off the wall next week. Probably nothing's going to be going according to normal schedule or normal plan. So we'll be talking about that. I'll be here. You should be here too. You don't want to miss it. I will see you then, guys. Have a beautiful full moon. Have a beautiful weekend. And until next time, bye.